Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is 5525. Hello, and welcome to yet another cast request from the Dota 2 caster subreddit. And today's game was submitted by Flashdavis, who you can see over on that dire side, along with apparently his worst fan. So assume that they're friends. Already we're looking at two big AoE heroes on the Radiant side, and that Enigma and the Earthshaker. Weaver he's probably going to be running that carry role, and mid will almost certainly be Pudge. You very rarely see a Pudge in a pub game who isn't played mid. And indeed, he basically has to be mid because he needs those levels to be able to go for those kills early on. Now, having said kills early on, we have got an anti-mage over on the dire side. So if Pudge is able to gank effectively early on, he can really shut down that anti-mage. Because that is perhaps the greatest strength of Pudge is in terms of his roaming power. He's almost unrivaled in that regard. He's also got a way to catch an anti-mage who blinks away if he's smart with how he places his hooks. And we've also looking at the Rubik. Rubik, it will be a good pick against Enigma. It's basically impossible as an Enigma player to not get your black hole stolen. Or even if Rubik doesn't get his hands on that, you've got the Earthshaker, also very nice to steal, or that track, also very fun, or indeed the hook from Pudge. We're also looking at the Puck Lich combo, quite a big issue in terms of AoE because you have this massive damage bouncing off coming at you. You can't really run away if Puck can get a good ulti off, and these you can silence, and you're in a fight where you've taken a lot of damage, you're unable to really fight back. But what it will come down to, especially in these early fights, is how well Enigma can place his black holes. If he can get that fast blink, well, indeed, if Earthshaker can get that fast blink, but you've got two very blink-dependent heroes, and as supports, both are more farm-dependent than you'd perhaps like. The Rubik can basically run around with nothing. Lich can get brown boots and still be throwing out the big ultis, but Enigma will need at least the blink. And so will Earthshaker if they want to be hitting their own skills. Earthshaker in particular is very reliant on positioning. He has to get those fast boots if he wants to get Fisher off. Getting Bristleback coming out as that final pick for the dire side. Just remember both teams now have got all picks. So Earthshaker is going to be played by Russian characters. He's going to be supporting Goku Moria, who's going to be bot lane with that Bounty Hunter. H1 Soccer going to be playing... it looks like the mid Pudge, while Chinese characters Enigma is going to be playing in the jungle. Meanwhile, over on which will leave Private Jackson, who I believe I've actually seen that name before. There you are. And he's going to, but anyway, he's going to be in that offlane as Weaver. Shouldn't have too hard a time. The slow is really the only thing that can really pressure him, and slows don't really affect Weaver all too much because he can run away without too much difficulty. We don't have detection up either. Speaking of which, Johnny FGM is going to be that support Lich, and he's going to be helping out Flashdavis' worst fan on the anti-mage, leaving Flashdavis himself mid with the Puck. Meanwhile, bot lane we have Andy on the Bristleback, and where is that Rubik? He's top lane, apologies there, on Genghis, and he's going to be played by Genghis Ken Sakaram. So we actually are looking at a tri-lane top, it would appear, which isn't particularly typical in pubs. They can sometimes fail simply because you don't get the XP, they're not able to really make a play of it, and indeed sometimes they're unable to even protect their carry. Private Jackson going to work on anti-mage, who does not have a lot of HP early on. His armor's quite low, his just base HP is quite low, and with only the slow from Lich to make him move back, well, Private Jackson can just keep going in, just bringing out last hits and denies in this mid lane. Puck should have the easier time of things against the Pudge, thanks to the, although I say that, looking at levels, Pudge actually seems to be in the lead. But hero-wise, Puck generally will be able to control Loden better. She's ranged, she can stay out of rot range. She's one of the few heroes who has a get out of jail free card for that hook, if it's needed. Puck now getting to level 3, so to speak. And now with that level 3, do we have bottle? About 100 gold off that. Pudge actually bought the wards, so it's going to be a way off that, but also 150. But once Flashdavis gets his bottle up, he'll be able to start throwing out that harass on Pudge, and then with 6 go to gank. He's probably going to be looking for a kill on the Weaver, I would imagine. That silence is very powerful. And Enigma quite low, but just in the jungle. Because Weaver, while he's very difficult to pin down, if you do pin him, he goes down very quick. If you can get the Puck jumping in, going for the silence, getting the ulti off, Weaver's not going to be able to run. You can get that lift coming up from Rubik to finish the job. Bounty Hunter as a carry, not particularly strong, because Janata, while it's very nice as a single burst, it's not good for sustained fights, because simply the enemy, well in this case the anti-mage, will be able to get in 2 or 3 big hits compared to your 1. The cooldown of 6 seconds actually. So indeed, 6 hits or even more than that late game. See now, Puck is still behind the Pudge, unfortunately. Not doing too well for herself. Perhaps, I mean, one issue I have with Puck myself is that she has quite a long wind-up animation on that attack. So the issue is ensuring that you leave enough time for the wind-up to come out. If you're playing a hero like Gyrocopter, you can basically click whenever you want. And meanwhile, Private Jackson actually picking up a kill on Rubik, went to jack that camp. Now he has no mana for Shikuki. As Anti-Mage gives chase, he does have Blink, he's going to jump in and literally going to finish the job. So, I mean, first blood for Weaver, he will pay for his death. At the same time, now he's down, that's going to give Anti-Mage some... And Anti-Mage was present near that kill, so he's gotten some XP, he's gotten some gold, and with that, he might now be able to actually stand up a little bit to Weaver, instead of just getting those instead of Weaver just getting all that harassing. Bristleback is kind of an interesting beast as a hero. He's not a particularly fantastic one in terms of short engagements. In fact, he's awful in short engagements, which means that against that Enigma Earthshaker, if they can get a good combo off, he will basically be a non-factor. He's going to die very quickly, or if he does live, because he's got his back turned, the rest of the team will have melted around him. However, as we get to layered Pudge coming in now, he does have the double damage, he does have hook, but no ulti. Out comes the Fisher and the Rot and the hook, and he's definitely dead. As the about to see the Bounty Hunter just goes for right click. I thought he might go for toss, but not even going to bother. Even now going to work on that top tower. Now, uber late game, Weaver is a stronger carry than Anti-Mage, because Anti-Mage doesn't actually have a particularly powerful steroid skill. Respect now, Death's connecting after that death. Not sure if that was a rage GC or not. He may well have been mad that somebody didn't call him. Okay, we are going to get a pause. So I assume he didn't call out his team for being noob or something like that. But yeah, uber late, Weaver is a stronger carry than Anti-Mage. He's got a better steroid in terms of Germinated attack. He's more difficult to pin down. He can weave in and out. Plus, Time Lapse gives him 2 lives if he's got Aegis 3 and would buy back 4 lives. Whereas Anti-Mage, he's not a good mid-game carry. He is good towards the tail end of that mid-game, moving into the late game. Now, at the absolute end, Weaver will come back. But Anti-Mage, if he can get that fast battle for now, sitting at 1,500 gold. So he's about a third of the way there, I should say. If he can get that up in before 15 minutes, then he will be able to go to town on those creeps and merge with his big items. Now the question is, of course, whether Weaver would be able to finish him off. And indeed, now that we've got Pudge, he's still only level 5. He does have double damage. One thing, I don't really like him going in on the Bristleback. It does give him a kill, but again, I would prefer him to be diving in on the Anti-Mage, because both mid heroes at this point are very good at roaming, at ganking, and out comes the hook on Puck. A lot of trouble. She throws out the orb, will be able to jump away, and that could have been quite bad. Just looking at levels, 5 on Puck, 5 on Pudge. Puck a little higher thanks to Pudge's roaming. About to get her 6 actually, and Hisoka actually in a lot of. It looked like Puck might have been able to jump in, but without the ulti, I don't think she would have been able to finish him off in time. Speaking of which, there goes the ulti now. Now, Weaver going in on the Anti-Mage. Anti-Mage going to blink away without too much difficulty. He's low, and Weaver is really being able to pressure this Anti-Mage without too much problem. He did get first blood, as we saw before. And so if he can continue to farm up, he should be alright. The issue is, though, that Anti-Mage now picking up that Ring of Health, going for the Pullman Shield as well. So we're sitting about 2,006, we're about 3,200 gold away from that Battlefish. Still a ways to go, actually. Now Pudge picking up that illusion rune. Still doesn't have 6, unfortunately. Puck does. Puck hasn't really been going for runes. Pudge has been roaming more. And about to run into a lich. Out comes the hook. We don't have the ulti, as I said before. Out comes the slow, but he's going to drop anyway. And there goes the 6 on Pudge. Going to heal up a little bit. In comes Earthshaker. It looks like he wants to roam in on the Puck. We do have the hook. Do we have mana for both? 100. We do indeed. Just 100 and 230 mana little cost. The question is whether we can hit that hook or no, it's out of range at the moment, so we'll have to wait for Puck to move forward. And indeed, here she comes. Pudge moving in. If he'd stayed in position there, he would have actually been able to get the hook as she came forward to that last hit. But there we are. In terms of the last hits, Bounty Hunter and Enigma are in the lead. Enigma, I think, saving for the Blink Dagger. You quite often see Enigma's going for the Mech Crush. Now out comes the hook on Puck. She does try and face it away, but in the end she gets ulted and not able to jump to her orb in time, unfortunately. But at the same time she does pick up, well, thanks to the tower, she picks up a kill on Pudge. Now we do have a Lich roaming in, trying to pick, I think that was what he was looking to do before. It does have a ward, going to block that camp. Now Bristleback on the run from that Bounty Hunter. We do have Toss, but the problem is with those levels in Bristleback, it will take him a while. He does actually go down though, but now Bounty Hunter going to no, he isn't actually. Managed to get out of range just in time before that tower hit. Because he's invisible. The attack won't land. They do have a TP coming in from Pudge, and I think this is where we're going to start to see that pick up on Anti-Mage. They do need to start killing him at this point, because he's farming decently at 35. Weaver are only down at 18, and it will basically be a Weaver versus Anti-Mage fight come the late game. Private Jackson already moving in. We have a TP coming in return from the Bristleback. Weaver diving in, perhaps looking for that Rubik, or maybe going to circle it. Now the hook coming out on Johnny FGM, but that will give time for Anti-Mage to get away, because that was both the hook and the Pudge ulti. Watch but now Weaver looking like he wants to go in on Andy. Indeed, going in now. He does have the ulti, so he can dive the tower if necessary. Pudge roaming around looking to get an angle for that hook, but the creep's now in the way. Out comes a Fissure from the Earthshaker, but Pudge still got, actually no, nice hook by Pudge, catches the Anti-Mage as he tries to blink away. Now Andy on the run from a Pudge. Now the Bristleback will be yeah, he is dead. Survived a lot longer than any other hero would, thanks to his passive, but even so, going down, and we are going to see that Enigma picking up his blink at 9 minutes in. In jumps the Puck, nice ulti, and waning rip. Lift up comes out on Pudge. We do have the Fissure coming out from Earthshaker, not able to do too much. Flashdavis is going to drop to the Weaver though, as Private Jackson roams in. We do have the ulti on Earthshaker, out it flies on Genghis Khan, now in a lot of trouble. Down he goes to an Earthshaker, right click. Now TP coming in as we get the Anti-Mage blinking in, looking for a kill on the Earthshaker. Lich going to pick that up with the slow, and now Andy TPM looking for yet another kill. Private Jackson now going in on the Lich. Doesn't have enough mana for Shikuki to get back in range though, unfortunately. And now Bristleback looking for a kill of his own, and jumps the Anti-Mage, burning away Weaver's mana, and I think this will be a dead Weaver. Do we have mana for Blink? We do. It's just come off cooldown. Down he goes.
Thou art damned.
Now, initially, that looked like a fantastic fight. Very nice hook by Pudge, but then I think they stayed there too long. It is very early in the game still, so that gives plenty of time for, that means your supports are only going to take 10, 15, 20 seconds to respawn. And as we saw Andy come in, we saw the Flashdavis on the Anti-Mage. Even after dying, he came back in and managed to pick up 2 kills there. Well, he didn't get 2 kills, but he was present into it. That's going to give him some farm. Out comes the hook, actually just going to latch on a creep, unfortunately. That's brought him back up in net worth. At the same time, we didn't have Bounty Hunter present in those fights. Now, one of the greatest strength of Bounty Hunters is that in a fight where you come off worse in terms of kills, you still break even, things like that. In a fight where you come off even and you trade, you come out ahead. Now Pudge going in on the Rubik as the Bounty Hunter diving for Flashdavis. Out comes the ulti from Flashdavis, and Goku Mora going to run away. Doesn't want to get pinned under that tower. Puck track trying to heal up. Now Private Jackson looking like it wants to go in on Andy. Indeed, down he goes. Now Private Jackson going to run. Flashdavis throws out the orb, not able to land though. It's in and he has caught the hooked flat as well, so unfortunately he won't be able to catch Anti-Mage, who managed to blink away. He how many points has he taken in spell? Should that was look. He has taken 2, opting to go not max mana break, which did save him there against the Pudge. Because I think he will be well advised to go for that spell shift, because we are going to be looking at a mid-game dominant lineup coming out from the Radiant side with their Earthshaker. Now Earthshaker, speaking of, coming in on Andy, not going to go for that big hit. And now Andy diving in, he goes for the ulti on some creeps, cancels almost immediately as in comes the anti-mage. He has blink, he has healed up thanks to his tranquils, and now going in on down goes Earthshaker to a bristleback right click. Now Pudge on the run as we do have more TPs coming in. Now we were about to run into that Lich. Does Lich have his ulti? He does. So if it comes into a fight, I think that the Dire side has the advantage at the moment. They don't have Earthshaker there, Enigma nowhere to be seen. Goku Moria looking for a kill. I think it'd be better if I was going for that Pudge. Now, we have Puck jumping in on Pudge, picking him up, which he used Rift, but not her ulti. Andy very low. I think we actually saw a hook coming out from Pudge on Andy, bringing him solo. Goku Moria could potentially pick up a kill on Andy. The issue is then he's running into a Puck who has that silence. Throws out the Private Jackson. We do have detection up, I think. Bounty Hunter picking up the kill on Bristleback. They seem to know where Private Jackson was. Now Private Jackson in some trouble, but Shikuki should be able to get away. He breaks. Now Enigma jumping in, looking for a kill. Out is going to come the ulti on too, but now Anti-Mage turning around, picking up, going to pick up the signal, I think. Down he goes. Goku Moria on the run, still no invisibility block. He should be able to get it. He does. There we go. Faded away. We don't have detection to deal with him. It looked like they had spotted Weaver. They seem to be attacking him. And now the Earthshaker looking like wants to go, and we do have the ulti up on him. It's about to come out, I would imagine. There we go. And Bounty Hunter picking up the... now Pudge going in on Puck. Down she goes. Anti-Mage managed to get away with the blink. Now despite... I mean, so far it does feel a little bit like Radiant's in control. They've gotten some good team fights there, and Weaver is certainly very powerful, but Anti-Mage has only gone down once. He's got 4 kills, he's been present in pretty much every single fight. Andy now very low down, he goes to an Earthshaker. Rubik coming in. Rubik now has his 6, gets his hands on Enchant Toner, which is very useful. Out comes the Malefice on Genghis Khan, trying to run away. Don't have Fisher. Out comes the hook on Genghis Khan, but Anti-Mage again able to get away unless the Fisher comes out from the Earthshaker like that, but able to blink away now. And the problem I'm seeing is that Pudge he's getting pickups, sure, but still again not picking up the Anti-Mage, who is now sitting about 900, less than that actually, 800 more, away from his Battle Fury. And with that up, he'll be able to start farming to his heart's content. Private Jackson got about 547. Has he got anything on the courier? No, unfortunately. So he's got treads, nothing else. He's got Anti-Mage sitting on, going for the Tranquil Boots build, which will allow him to jungle that much more effectively. Now Lich on the run from an invisible Pudge. He does have range for the hook. We might see this fly out. If he can catch any one person, they'll go down. Now still coming out from him. He got his hands on demonic conversion. Earthshaker very low, but the ulti coming out from Pudge. Ulti's going to catch true from Puck. Now Private Jackson, a lot of trouble down. He goes to Anti-Mage with the ulti and right clicks, and Enigma getting away with a smidgen of HP. Meanwhile, bot lane we do have Bounty Hunter farming. Now Bounty Hunter's going for the Battle Fury build. I don't like that because, as I said, they have a much stronger mid-game lineup. Bounty Hunter not a very good carry by any stretch of the imagination. And so the issue is, if he's going to sit in a lane, he's really wasting that mid-game potentially offers with Track. Indeed, the rest of his team already centered around that mid-game, so you want to be getting in there. Every kill you can be getting Track gold off is a massive benefit to your team. It means that it's almost impossible for you to lose out gold-wise. Being up gold, they are already 5,000 gold ahead in terms and 5,000 XP, so they do have that, dipping a little bit after that last fight though. But with the Bounty Hunter there, that advantage, we do have the Battle Fury up now on Anti-Mage, and now this is when the farm starts to explode. But Bounty Hunter, he has picked up his Battle Fury as well. Looking like he wants to roam in on Puck actually. Now we can potentially pick her up, although he doesn't have a huge amount of damage. And in he comes. Out comes the Track, out comes that click. She is going to go straight for the phase shift. Might be able to jump away as Bounty Hunter dives in. Flashdavis very low. Invisible comes out, and Goku Moria is actually going to finish her off, thanks to the invisibility isn't hit. You know, Private Jackson looks like he wants to push down mid lane. We have TP coming out from Bristleback, who is sitting now at 6 death, not doing too well for himself at all. Puck running straight into that Pudge as well. We do still have the hook to come out as well. In jumps the Enigma, and down he goes. Now a nice ulti from Lich, gonna bounce back, but not able to finish either, but bring them very low, and I think they will have the backup this one, especially the Enigma, which means they're not going to be able to take a fight. Pudge now looking for a hook, about 12 seconds out of fly, is going to miss on Johnny FGM. Now the Fisher coming out a little too late to get that hook. Now Russian character is quite low, throws out the ulti to finish off the Lich, and going to be able to get away with the swing of head spear as in jumps the Enigma. So 22 to 12 again. I would like to see Bounty Hunter coming into these fights more. Pudge now quite low as in jumps the Puck. She doesn't have ulti, about 25 seconds away from that. Goku Mora trying to finish her. Nice hook, going to bring her back, and down she's going to go to Pudge's rot. Enigma now. I'd be interested to see if he has got the two branches. He might be winning into that mech, because the reason people do get that mech on him, well, in fact used to, because he's not particularly popular right now. But his great strength is that it's basically impossible to push him out of lane. He's like the old Lycan in that regard. You can gank him, certainly, but even so, he's just going to back off a little bit. He has plenty of mana, he'll just be able to resummon, and it's basically more trouble than it's worth to try and shut him down. Now, we do have the Vlads getting picked up on Anti-Mage. I don't really like the Vlad's rush on Anti-Mage. Vlad's is honestly more of a late game item, and that more of an item for supports, because it does waste a slot on the anti-mage come late game. Now it will give him a bit more survivability, but it doesn't have a huge deal of damage at this point. A lot of it coming out from Mana Break, which I don't believe can be life steal. And also, a lot of the damage coming out is just pure burst, in terms of that Pudge, in terms of that Weaver, in terms of the Earthshaker, and indeed in terms of that Enigma. So, if you can get to the later stage of the game, then Vlad is worth it, because you can have sustained fights, but I would prefer the Manta now to give him some more damage. Now we have Flashdavis, Pudge picking up a kill on Lich. In jumps the Puck, trying to delay something. In jumps the Earthshaker now. He looks like he's building into a 4-star, actually. Bounty on the meanwhile, picking up a kill on Anti-Mage, and that is his second death, and that's an important pickup, actually. So that's going to set him back. He has already got the Battle Fury, though. Looks like it's seeing a MKB, I imagine, coming out of Anti-Mage. But yeah, Vlad's, again, is more of a supportive item, because later, there's no difference between somebody holding Vlad's and somebody standing next to you with Vlad's, which is one of the reasons I consider it more of a supportive item. Now that you do have the ulti coming out from Pudge, going for Andy, Bristleback going to turn around, pick up the Earthshaker, and pick up the Pudge as well, and now going to go down as he turns towards Enigma. And that is one of the big problems with Bristleback. If you don't kill him almost instantaneously, if you attack him from behind, he's going to get an untold amount of quill spray stacks off, rather. And then you end up taking I believe it's about 300 now. The max 400 actually, if it's at max stack. So it's very painful indeed. And that's basically going to be at the moment we have got this single Tiger Burst, but the burst kind of team. And now Goku Moria looking like he wants to jump in on Puck. She's going to try and jump away, still coming in with the track. He does have toss, out it comes. Not enough to finish her off though, as the slow comes out from Lich. Rubik now roaming around, looking like he wants to pick something up. Still no detection on either of the supports, unfortunately. But yeah, the Earthshaker, again, with the ulti, with Enigma's ulti as well, that's fairly self-explanatory. But also, the Bounty Hunter, as I said, very reliant on that first hit, because after that, he doesn't deal anywhere near as much. He doesn't have sustained damage. And so, if the game can get drawn out long enough, Anti-Mage will be able to survive through these fights, as will the Bristleback, as indeed will. Now the ulti coming out on Pudge. He's going to get lifted up a little too late to save a Lich, though, and the fish is going to fly out from Earthshaker to allow Pudge to get away. Pudge actually going for the Shadow Blade, which will allow him to go for that melee range dismember. Well, go for dismember and then follow up straight away with the melee range hook. Now, if you can use that to roam on Anti-Mage, more power to him. We do already have a ward up in that jungle. They are looking to deny this jungle to Anti-Mage, which is always what I'd like to see. Bounty on the middle, picking up yet another kill. Now at 8 kills, 0 deaths, and 1 assist. And so he is, and now out comes the ulti from Pudge actually. Rubik going to drop to the Earthshaker. Now we do have the Earthshaker going to try and get away from Bristleback, but going down in the end. Pudge looking for another kill. He does have Hook, but about to run straight into a Lich. He has Shadow Blade, as mentioned before, so he's going to use it and perhaps look for a kill on Andy. Or not, as Goku Moria looks is going to finish him up. Actually, Pudge taking him out with a blindside hook. And the map really is in the control of the Radiant side. Dai really can't feel safe to move past. They can't even move past that T2. In fact, they basically have to remain bottled up inside their base. Now, Anti-Mage is, as a carry, okay when bottled up, when the rest of his team's bottled up inside his base, because he can blink out, push a wave, go into the enemy jungle, and then TP back home. He's quite difficult to pin down. Now, unless we have a black hole coming out, or the silence following almost immediately lifted up. We do have the steal from Rubik. He does have the mana for the ulti now. Throws it out, catching too. Now, Johnny FGM did throw out the ulti before, so he's not going to be able to contribute anything there. But finishes off the Bounty Hunter. And that's his first death of the game. Very, absolutely massive pickup for them, because he represents a huge chunk of the gold. He's level 15, and the next highest, I believe, is that Anti-Mage, also level 15. But everybody else, for the support, has been a massive boon in terms of XP. Nice steal by Rubik. Nice lift, in fact. Enigma perhaps didn't expect to have to be retaliated on so quickly, and that is one of the reasons why he does need BKB building for it now, because you have two heroes who can sit back and then as soon as the ulti comes out from him, jump in and very quickly retaliate. Rubik in particular, you basically need to catch him in the black hole, because if not, he's going to steal it, and then he's going to come in return, especially as we saw there, if Puck can get her ulti off on top. That stops the enemy from running away as Rubik walks his way in. Now the blink coming out on Puck will give him will give her some initiating power, I should say. Earthshaker actually building towards the Aghanims, it would appear, which I don't really agree with, because out comes the hook on Bristleback, out comes the ulti as well. We do have the totem out. That comes to try and delay him a little bit. Still coming out from Rubik, getting his hands on Dismember. And now going to lift up Pudge, throw him back, going for the Dismember. Very odd sound effect, I must say. Pudge going to Shadow Blade away. He is caught by dust though, going to be slowed down. And now Anti-Mage coming in, goes for the ulti as Goku Moria looking to get some kind of pickup. Has picked up his MKB, going to go for Genghis. One hit will do it. There we go. Poor Rubik. Now, Earthshaker roaming in as well, going to run straight into an Anti-Mage. Throws out the ulti, not doing too much at all. And now Goku Moria might be in some trouble as the silence comes out, trying to man-fight Goku Moria. Down he goes. Bounty Hunter not able, and that's 3 kills going the way of Anti-Mage. So this game is really starting to turn. You look at gold. After that last fight, it is turning down slightly. XP as well, more of a drop-off. Dropping from about 14k to less than 12k. Similar story in gold. So by no means a immense swing, but now we are starting to see that point where Anti-Mage is starting to carry. It doesn't help that the Radiant side are kind of coming into these fights 2 by 2. Bounty Hunter probably most so, because up until this point he's been able to have free roam on pretty much any hero he can dive in, but now with most of those towers down, we are finding that Dire is starting to bunch up, and so it means if Bounty Hunter goes in on the hero, if indeed Pudge goes in on the hero, they end up getting into a fight with 2 or 3 protracted fights that they can't really afford to take. Genghis going to get picked off by the Enigma. As in comes that Puck. We've got 3 grouping up now. Looks like Andy might be in some trouble. He does have high ground vision, but in jumps the Enigma. Does get the stun up, going for the Midnight Pulse. Not really doing too much of it. Now out comes the ulti, going to catch Flashdavis. Out comes the ulti from Johnny FGM, going to deal a lot of damage to Weaver, who goes down thanks to that mana void. Didn't have time to time lapse. And now Pudge on the run, goes for the hook, trying to pick up Andy. He doesn't have mana for Shadow Blade though. He gets it off just in time, getting out of range of that sentry. As in comes the Earthshaker, still about 30 seconds away from the ulti. He does have Fisher though, and we're not going to see that come out. It's just going to be an Enchant Totem hit. Sorry, he doesn't have Fisher actually. Pudge now actually turning around, going to get away with his life. But well, in terms of kills, that went Radiant's way. But Anti-Mage again alive through that fight. Weaver dropped, and Weaver is going to be their only answer to that Anti-Mage come late game. Anti-Mage now sitting about 1800 gold. Nothing. He does actually have the Yasha on the Curie, so he's going to be putting into that Manta next. Bounty Hunter now finishing off that Rubik as he jumps the Anti-Mage. Out comes the ulti from Anti-Mage. Anti-Mage might actually go down here. Manages to blink away because we didn't have mana for the Dismember. In comes the Orb from Park. Not going to actually jump in there. And if Anti-Mage going down, that would have been disaster, because he is, I feel, really the only thing keeping his team in the game at this point. Puck, as we saw before, did have a good ulti in that lad rib to get the steal, but without Anti-Mage to follow up, I just don't think they have the sustained damage at this point. The enemy carries indeed. Bounty Hunter is going to be able to pick the supports to pieces, and Weaver likewise now getting his death, so he'll be able to split push to his heart's content, although we only have one T2 up on the map still. But at this point, the problem is that they're not really comfortable to take these fights. We don't have the blink on Earthshaker, and it is indeed going to be that Agonist. The problem with rushing Agonist on Earthshaker is that it's all well and good, but the thing is that Earthshaker really desperately needs a way to get into a fight fast. He needs to jump in and get that big ulti off when when the enemy doesn't expect it. Because if he has to waddle his way and go for the fish, it gives your enemies time to spread out. It also means that the rest of your team is going to be killing off some of the creeps, potentially even killing off some of the heroes. So instead, I would prefer that god to have gone towards a blink. He's now sitting about 600 away. Bounty Hunter meanwhile picking up a Vlad of his own. Now it's later in the game at this point, so it does pay off a little more. Same time, he's the only one who really benefits from it, unfortunately. I do think that Vlad's is a greatly overrated item by a lot of players. It's by no means a bad item when you come into that very late game, when your supports can pick it up and buff you up. But in terms of cost efficiency, it's much lower than most items until you get to that tail end, when 17% bonus damage and 16% lifesteal does pay off.
Bottom tower is under attack. Dire's top tower is under attack. Radiant structures are
Still coming out on
fortified.
Rubik. He has actually his hands on the hook, and if he can get a good hook off here, if he can get that Enigma before he gets his ulti off, that will be the fight for the Dire, because there's not much. The only thing really keeping Radiant in this fight is with an anti-mage is a potential good ulti. Now Puck dropping very low, down he goes to Earthshaker as we have the ulti coming out from Lich, going to drop. Nice ulti from Enigma, catches all three as in comes Gokumori picking up 1 kill, picking up 2 kills. BKB coming out from Enigma, not even really needed though, as Andy on the run, Hooksy, so his Soaker picking him up, actually Bounty Hunter killing him off. We do have the Manta up now on Anti-Mage. Anti-Mage unfortunately not in that fight. If it was, it might have swung differently, but beautiful ulti by Enigma, able to catch the entire team. So, well, catch 3. And now in comes the Anti-Mage, 1 kill. Going for Goku Moria. Out comes the Mantis, picking up 2 kills just by attacking those creeps. Now jumping in on that Pudge. Pudge going to try and get away with invisibility. And he will be able to manage that. I think he has to back off now. Bring it up Golden XP. It swung up pretty sharply after that last fight. XP exactly the same. But still, Anti-Mage is really starting to become a massive threat. Weaver wasn't in that last fight. But still, we are seeing that power of... That was the first time we've really seen... Well, that was the second good ulti from Enigma, I'd say. And if you can get more ultis like that, as long as they can continue to catch the team, have the Weaver there to deal with the Anti-Mage. Because Anti-Mage, while he's a big threat alone, the rest of his team will be melting around him thanks to the Weaver and the Bounty Hunter picking apart his supports, thanks to that AoE wombo combo coming out from Enigma. And now, Pudge unfortunately going to run into all three, getting the ulti off on Rubik. He's not going to get lifted up. He manages the suicide anyway. Poor Rubik. Now sitting at 12 deaths. Who used the very mad Rubik. But that was just unfortunate for him. In the end, not able to finish off the Pudge quite in time. Got away with a sliver of HP and then able to suicide. Weaver meanwhile pushing body. Does have the Desolator, which will allow him to push into these towers if not contested. But it does look like Lich or Parker's working their way there now. Double damage down bot. We don't have any ward coverage up in that area. In fact, no coverage up in that jungle. Which means that it is a bit unsafe for Dire to be farming there. Anywhere to the left of the Uber ward at least. But at the same time, it means that Radiant hasn't got any idea what's going on in there. They can't find the Anti-Mage. And when you've got a Pudge with a Shadow Blade, that's really what you're looking for. Those pickoffs, potentially with smoke, spot where he's farming and come in on top of him. Bounty Hunter now revving in for the Anti-Mage. We don't have a gem up on that team yet, although we do have Dust up on Bristleback. And Dust up on Rubik. Now stun coming out on Anti-Mage, getting Malefice. He gets fissured as well by the tail end. Pirate Jackson going in on the Anti-Mage. In comes the Lich ulti. In comes the Waning Rift. And in comes the Dream Coil. Now Anti-Mage picking up 1 kill, 2 kills, 3 kills. Gonna turn around, look for, I think, that Enigma. Enigma, what? Black Horse still off, still on cooldown, and that is 9 kills away of Anti-Mage without a death. Now BKB coming out on Enigma, not going to do much to save him against Anti-Mage's angry right clicks though. Indeed, there he goes. Now Pudge coming in, he does have Shadow Blade to get away, throws out the hook, and now definitely going to have the Shadow Blade away. Although we have Dust, it is on cooldown. Out it comes from Puck though. And that's going to catch Pudge, and down he will go, I think. Now no longer has mana for a Shadow Blade. Anti-Mage giving it his ult. He does have his ulti if he wants to throw it out. Not going to, though. Content with right click. The problem is we don't have mana now, so he isn't getting that extra mana from Mana Break. And finally, out comes the ulti, finishing off the Pudge. Pudge buying back. Not much he can accomplish at this point, although it does mean that he'll be up when Weaver and Earthshaker respawn. The big issue there was that we had a very nice, well, a beautiful ulti from Puck, a beautiful ulti from Lich, able to catch Tin, then Anti-Mage had to follow up, and the problem is he didn't have the AoE, and now in comes the hook on Johnny FGM, gonna ulti him, trying to finish him off. Does indeed succeed in that, but now lifted up between two with 3 heroes wailing away on him, including the Rivet. In comes the Weaver trying to pick apart Genghis, down Genghis goes, and but Pudge going down. Pudge actually managed to commit suicide again. Weaver now Earthshaker on the run. Weaver looking like wants to pick up the Puck there. He succeed in that. Andy on the run down. He's going to go. Anti-Mage will have to back off now. So the tail end of that, it actually went back in Radiant's favor. But now Anti-Mage, I don't think it's going to have any issues carrying this game. Unfortunately, they didn't manage to get a rack, so their win is by no means cemented. They will have to pick up the Roshan, I feel, first, before they can really push into that high ground consistently. Because again, the big issue there was that we had the Waning Rift from Puck, we had the Drink Oil, and then we had Lich's ulti bouncing in between. Enigma ulti is still a fantastic deterrent in that kind of situation when you've got lots of... And now Anti-Mage is going to be able to blink away as Weaver and Gokumura dive in on him. He does have cooldown of Blink Out it comes, and he should be able to get away at this point. But without enough mana to track, just gained at them. But if Enigma could have gotten that ulti up in that last fight near the tier 3 top, then it would have swung. Now looking for that rush. We do have Desolator up on Weaver, and that's just going to melt through Roshan's HP. Indeed, there he goes, already bouncing out to picking it up. Would prefer it on Weaver though, simply because I think he has more sustained damage. Again, Bounty Hunter won't be able to go toe to toe with Anti-Mage. Indeed, he hasn't been able to, as we've seen. But now we have all ultis up for the Radiant side. Now, the Dire by no means have a weak team fight. They have less raw damage, less jump in power. Earthshaker has picked up his Aghanims. Again, without the blink, he's not being able to get those big hits off. And the problem is, against the Puck, Puck will generally be able to get the silence off before he can get the ulti off, unless she's stunned by the enemy. Hook coming out on Andy, and I think he's going to drop as the ulti comes out from Pudge. It's still coming out from Ruby. We're going to go down to the Bounty Hunter. Ulti from the Earthshaker melts them, but now the ulti from Lich destroying in return. Ulti from PVT. The Bounty Hunter struggling to get away. He does have the Aegis if he wants. Private Jackson actually managed to finish off the Bismarck. In comes the Orb. The Anti-Mage looking for a kill on his Soaker. Gokumura going in on Flashdavis. He is going to lose the Aegis, and Anti-Mage getting away with a smidgen of HP. 30-40. Did we have the ulti from Pudge? We did, but not enough mana, unfortunately, so we couldn't follow up. Because if Anti-Mage had lingered there for a split second longer, he would have gone down. It's the Aegis, but now with 3 down, 2 down on the Radiant side. Enigma not able to get the ulti off, unfortunately, but we did have a nice ulti from Earthshaker. Did quite a bit of AoE damage. The Lich, in return, though, was able to pick off, deal a lot of damage, allow Anti-Mage to come in with the ulti and clean up. But in the end, I think Earthshaker was one of the reasons that the fight started to swing in Radiant's favor. They didn't pick up Anti-Mage, but they managed to make the rest of Dire back off. Now picking up that tier 3. Rack's still up, though, unfortunately. Anti-Mage now picking up that heart. He has the recipe that's going to give him that bonk he needs to go toe-to-toe. Weaver meanwhile working on that Lincoln's. At this point, the only... In fact, I can't think of a skill aside from Lift that's actually going to really bother him. I mean, he does take, I think, 1 bounce off of Lich's ulti, but aside from that, the other hits are going to still land on you. So I'm not 100% sure about the Lincolns at this point. Now, Butterfly, I should say, coming out on that Bounty Hunter. It does block the ulti from Anti-Mage, so that might be the reasoning. Although I don't think Weaver's been the one targeted by the ulti. I guess it does mean in those split, like, nail-biting fights, if it comes down to a toe-to-toe battle between Anti-Mage won't be able to get that boost out of his ulti. And that indeed might be the end if it comes down to a mano-a-mano carry versus carry fight. T3 chop is quite low. Meanwhile, none of the T3 towers for Radiant are in any troubles. They might be able to win by the split push. As I said, Weaver does have a lot of power in that regard. Enigma not too bad either, thanks to demonic conversions. Although he does struggle a little bit to burst down those towers. That's what Weaver is strongest in. Stronger in, rather. There's no Romeo. Looking at Ida Christian, he had got the mech up a while ago, and Drum. Nothing at all on the Rubik, unfortunately. He got the brace. He's nesting out 14 deaths, unfortunately. He's not having too good a time at all. At this point, I think he will just be looking for... Well, he is basically the ward buyer. Lich in a lot of trouble trying to get away from the Weaver. Will succeed in that. Now the ulti coming out on Private Jackson. He is going to go down. And that means coming into this next fight, that carry's going to be down to have gold for buyback. He doesn't. He just picked up the Lincolns, but unfortunately that was used already. Now Lich trying to TP away. He's not going to succeed at that, but now in comes the Enigma going for the ulti. Nice ulti. We have the ulti from Moshek as well. But now Anti-Mage, after that ulti ends, he's going to turn around. And actually, he's going to try and blink. He's going to blink away. I thought he might actually just try and turn that around man fight. He doesn't have the ulti though, so that may have been his reasoning. He wasn't sure, but now Anti-Mage picking up a kill on Bounty Hunter, actually.
To the underscape.
And with that, I mean, you've got 3 heroes, but they've used their ultis about 5 seconds away on Pudge. They don't have a lot of sustained damage. Bastion now coming out on Anti-Mage. Got any heart regening out. I think he can actually just jump in on those 3 heroes now. Looks like he's thinking about it. Gonna get stunned by... And in he comes on the Enigma. Enigma desperately trying to get away. Anti-Mage going to turn around, go on Hisoka instead. The ulti comes out from Hisoka. Manto Illusion going for the creeps instead. Now in jumps the Anti-Mage to get the bash on, and then we're going to bring him down. And Earthshaker now on the run. 2 seconds away from that ulti. 8 seconds away from Weaver's respawn. So it's going to be a while before we can get here. Nice dodge by Anti-Mage, going to get away from that Fisher. Now out it comes in the end though. Anti-Mage turning on the Earthshaker. Now we do have the Pudge trying to get away. He does have mana for Shadow, but he's going to use it. And dust on Lich, but they don't really know where he is, so he's not going to use it. They don't have the all-seeing vision that we have. Jeb now coming out in the orange. I think he's had enough with it. It will allow him to lock down the Weaver, but importantly, it will also allow him to deal with that Pudge. I'm interested to see if he will carry it himself. He's basically 6-slot at this point. Remember, he will be picking up the Abyssal. He might be looking to sell the Vlads now. Allow one of his supports to pick it up to allow him to then get the crit stick, or indeed the butterfly. Karas coming out on Pudge will bulk up his team a little. And Urshik, I think, saving for that blink, still about 500 gold away from that. And I do really think that should have been coming out earlier. Now, he had BKB a while back now, sitting down at 7 charges. Hasn't really got anything since then, sitting at about 2,000 gold. He might be looking for a Veil to try and get that AoE damage boost. Or indeed the mech, although it is rather late for a mech. Pipe would actually probably be more beneficial. Because Lich's ultis have been a big part of what's shredding the rest of the team. Now the ulti coming out from the Lich, not doing too much in this fight, not going to be a huge factor. Bounty Hunter on the run. We do have the gem up on Puck, I think. Yes, jumps in, throws out the orb, going in on Bounty Hunter. Bounty Hunter goes down to Illusions actually. Now the Anti-Mage turning around, picking up the Earthshaker as well, going in Private Jackson. He's going to drop to Bristleback. Actually, no, that was the Bounty Hunter running away. But anyway, now Puck, Pudge there, Enigma, and Pudge, the only 2 people left. Pudge getting 1 kill, but now caught between 2 melee heroes. Going to Shadow Blade away, but we do have the dust from Lich to deal with that. And that's going to allow the gem to get dropped back. Then we're now the only one alive. He has ulti up, but on his own, there is nothing that he's going to be able to do. I mean, he might be able to get the most fantastic ulti, but he doesn't have the damage to follow up, and then Anti-Mage will just turn around and eat him alive. Fortify coming out. They know that with Enigma's ulti up, they can potentially get this fight if they can keep that tier 3 alive, but I don't think they're going to succeed in that. It's going to drop down, it goes. We've still got 30 seconds on the Weaver, 27 on the Bounty Hunter. Down goes one Rax, down goes two. And from here, you've still got 20 seconds left. They might rotate and go. Actually, no, they do have both the T2s up. Or it looks like we actually might see them go straight for the T4. No, Anti-Mage is going to back up. It looked like he wanted to do that. Going to get some extra gold. Mech coming out on the Bristleback. He also has the pipe. Going to jump in on the Nimmer. Might be able to pick him off. We don't have mana for the Black Hole anymore. He's going to drop. He's not going to. He does buy back straight away because again he has his ulti up. They want to be looking to take this fight. Jumps in on 2. Gets off a massive ulti as in comes the Earthshaker as well. This is the fish for Anti-Mage able to blink away. Stun on Andy. Anti-Mage still going to get away with 190 HP. Ulti from Lich flying out. Going to bounce, not going to finish everything off. And I do think that was a little bit of a misplay of Enigma there. He went for the stun on Bristleback. If he landed that on Anti-Mage, that would have been a dead Anti-Mage. And from there, they may have been able to swing it back. We were now picking up a kill on Lich. But going to go now toe-to-toe with Flashdavis' worst fan. Going for the time lapse. Gets bashed, though, at the very edge of it. And so I'm going to come back. And now landing, going in straight on that Puck. We do have Bounty Hunter going in as well. Puck phase shifting, trying to get away, but unfortunately didn't wait out the full duration now. But now Anti-Mage doing a lot of damage to Goku Morris, almost dropping once again 80 HP. And so we can't deal with 2 carries at the same time anymore. And now Flashdavis getting away with 100 HP. Again, if he'd gone down in either of those fights, that would have marked a swing back in Radiant's favor. Looking at gold, they are still 10k in that lead. And XP, more than 10k in fact, thanks to a very nice ulti by Enigma. That was part of. Now they're winning kill wise. They're 16 kills up kill wise. In terms of net worth, their supports on the Dire side well behind. Earthshaker, the only one on his team who is below anybody on the enemy team, aside from that Anti-Mage. And that's the thing, Anti-Mage is sitting 6k higher than anybody else. Weaver, he is actually doubling Weaver's net worth. Now Weaver, as I said, is a better carry come late game. Uber late game comes 6 slot versus 6 slot, but the problem is Anti-Mage farms that gold so much faster. He's essentially already 6 slot picking up the gem, and that is his 6 slots. Plus now picking up a kill on Lich. They are going to jump in on Flashdavis. Flashdavis very low. We don't have the ulti on Enigma, and so Anti-Mage will be able to get away. But now Andy's stunned once again, and I think this might be a rack, the second rack, so they want to go that way, or they can rotate bot and pick up that tower. General practice, they are going to go straight for that racks. General practice is, if you take the melee but not the range, you tend to rotate into another lane. But because they were already there, I think they wanted to push the creeps in first to give them to break through the backdoor protection. They're going taking down that tier 3. Now Anti-Mage, he is there, he can jump in. In jumps Flashdavis, goes for the waiting, goes for the ulti, and Enigma is silenced. He's going to drop before he gets the ulti off. Not up anyway. Now, Private Jackson, very low. Genghis Khan going down. Private Jackson trying to get something done. Hisoka going to drop to the Anti-Mage. Now Private Jackson dying. He didn't have timelines. Ultra kill for Flashdavis. Man fighting Goku Moria. Here we go. Gets the bash. Goku Moria going to finish off the Anti-Mage. Anti-Mage buying back. Goku Moria trying to get away with a smidgen of HP. Ulti from Lich. A single hit. Enough to finish him off. Pudge, the only person left on his team to defend. And from this, do we have buyback gold? We do on Weaver. He really needs to be buying back. We do have it up on the Bounty Hunter as well. And indeed, both need to, because without that, Anti-Mage will be able to just push down this lane. Get that tier 3, because we've still got 50 seconds left on those carries. I mean, now with his ulti up. He didn't actually have that ulti up in that last fight, and I feel that was a mistake for his team to then push into that tier 3, push up into that Rax, because they knew that the rest of the team, the enemy team, was all up, now getting that battlefield pickup on Anti-Mage, dropping the gem. So it is up on Puck. Now Puck getting a Dagon, looking for the ultimate orb. I assume building into a sheep stick, which will give him that lockdown on Bounty Hunter or the Weaver, who neither of whom have that BKB yet. Anti-Mage powering through that backdoor protection. Down that goes. Pudge meanwhile picking up a kill. Now looking to pick up Andy as well, sitting at 200 strength. Very nice. But the problem is, alone, he's not a carry in and of himself, even with 23 kills. 14 assists, he's just not able to deal with that anti-mage, who now is turning around, swinging these fights. Again, that fight was actually honestly more even than I would have expected. Anti-mage got very low. He actually dropped to the bounty hunter. Ulti coming out from the Pudge. In jumps Flashdavis, not going to save the Lich, but able to get a kill in return on him. Trevor's coming out now from the anti-mage, which he does need at this point. Bounty Hunter hasn't picked up much since that butterfly. We're not seeing a butterfly from Weaver. He's going to be going for Crystallis. Shifts now coming out from Punk. Again, that will afford them that lockdown. Weaver does have the Lincoln, so you have to be careful of that. But outside of that, it means that in that last mano-a-mano fight between Goku Moria and Anti-Mage, you can lock down Goku Moria, and then suddenly he's got nothing. Anti-Mage will be able to wail all over him. Yeah, looking like I think they're going to be pushing in those creeps mid once again, then turning top, picking up that tower there. We've only got the melee racks left. Actually, it does look like they're cycling around there. Pudge is down, mind you, but Enigma's ulti is up. So again, going in with a little bit of a disadvantage. Rubik looks like he wants to get something done. Fortify comes out still from Rubik getting his hands on Shadow Walk. And I think Urshika is going to be the sacrificial lamb, as in jumps Flash Lamp. Not going to go for the silence, doesn't have ulti yet. It's on cooldown. Private Jackson gets lifted up. He does have time, that's going to get away. Now a nice ulti from the Enigma, picking 2 up. Ulti coming out from Lich to even the odds. Nice steal from Ruby. He turns it around, catches 3. Going to drop though to Weaver. Now Enigma on the run. Andy very low. Private Jackson goes down to the Urshik, and now Flashdavis stun. Private Jackson, the only person left to deal with Flashdavis' worst fan, not able to in the end. We do have a gem that he can't deny it though. The problem is, and he is going to drop the TP to pick it up, get that invis advantage back. Pudge now respawning. So ultis all over the place there. Still very much anyone's game, and we again do have this Aegis up. And now, with that final T3, the only one left, both teams will probably be thinking about picking that up. The Dire side to try and deny it to the Radiant, and the Radiant because they want to be going into fight confident they can win. Pudge, meanwhile, pushing top, trying to get those creeps, I think, up against that tower, because from there, with 2 racks down, it is going to be very difficult for the Radiant side to push. Sorry, for the Dire side to push if they come out of a fight in the lead now, because they have to grapple with the fact that they're going to have 2 lanes pushing in against them. Anti-Mage farming away. He has got a slot open now. I think Abyssal would be the opportune choice here. Looks like he's going to be picking that up now, actually. He's actually thinking about it. Oh, he's just going to go straight for Rosh. That works too. I think picking up Abyssal there would have worked. Although maybe he does want to stay for buyback, which is a good choice by him. Because again, he is the only carry on his team. This problem with running a single core type. Well, they didn't pick it like this because of course it is a pub. But the issue with having only a single carry is covering this hyper late. It means that if you go down, you have to have buyback, because otherwise the enemy carries in that Weaver now picking up the Daedalus and the Bounty Hunter now picking up the Desolator. So we do have that minus armor stack going on, unfortunately. But Anti-Mage will be able to pick up the Aegis at this point. With that up, I think he is going to be looking to get a fight. Radiant had no idea that was going on. And now, I mean, Anti-Mage in these last fights has been wailing all over. They haven't quite been able to save their racks. Has been going more or less even. But there has been a danger, because if Rubik hadn't gotten that steal on the Enigma's ulti in that last fight, I think it would have turned in Radiant's favor. However, now with the Aegis up, suddenly you're back in a threat. Flashdavis going to get stunned. Ulti on Pudge, but should be able to blink away as the final stun comes out. Now, in comes Genghis Khan, gets the steal off, gets Dismember, and going to throw it out on Pudge as in comes the Weaver, and that is a very dead Rubik. Now, Private Action turning around, trying to pick up a kill on Johnny FGM. Out comes the slow from Andy, trying to buy some time. He has picked up the Halberd, but now caught between 2 as in comes the Anti-Mage, wailing away on Hisoka. Ulti from Enigma is going to disable him, but then he gets disabled in turn. Lich picking up Enigma with the ulti, I think. Private Jackson goes down. Anti-Mage now, what are you doing? You have blinked away, going for Goku Moria, trying to save that Rax. That's Megas for his team. But now with Pudge and Earthshaker, the only ones alive, in comes the Anti-Mage, picking up, he will be able to pick up that Earthshaker hook coming out from Pudge, lands on a creep. Now Soka trying to get away, bashed, still got the Aegis up on him. Do we have buyback on Weaver? We don't. Do we have buyback on the Bounty Hunter? We do, but alone without the Weaver there, with the rest of his team down, do we have buyback on anybody else? On Enigma, yes, but with his ulti not contributing too much. Earthshaker, absolutely nothing. Actually picked up the Refresher. Plenty of damage, but again, is it worth it if you can't get that single good one off? Well, actually, he has been doing quite well with the Enigma to set up so far, so maybe that is the mentality. But again, in some of those earlier fights, I think the Blink would have been useful. And now, with Anti-Mage powering down that mid lane, I think they're just going to go straight for T4s. And they would Megas, they can't allow this draw, because otherwise they'll be forced into a defensive game. They'll just have to continue to creep the creeps back and hope for another mistake like that, which isn't going to happen. I don't think, because now Anti-Mage powering down that lane. I think we're going to go to Earthshaker, but the problem is that he got the Anti-Mage, and that would have allowed his carries to go over, but it got cancelled early, and on top of that, the rest of his team, the rest of Anti-Mage's team were pretty much fine. You didn't have that Earthshaker and Enigma tearing into them, as we have seen in earlier fights. Enigma now coming in 80 seconds away from the ulti, building into that Shivers. Anti-Mage wailing away on that tier 4. Weaver is back, throws out the bugs, trying to delay as best he can. Anti-Mage jumping in now, trying to pick up that second T4. Ulti now coming up from Lich, going to melt Private Jackson. Private Jackson is a sheep. He goes down before he can time-lapse away. Now Flashdavis turning around, going for Goku Morris, trying to finish him up. Now he's going to go as the Aegis comes out from Anti-Mage, and this is game. Private Jackson has bought back, but he goes down once again to the Anti-Mage. Enigma's still alive, 40 seconds away from the ulti, but he's not going to have time. And GG, well played, says Flashdavis. Good game. In the end, Anti-Mage just got too big, too fast for Weaver to really handle. Again, I would say during that mid-game time, I would have preferred the Pudge to move over. He did get a lot of kills, but he wasn't getting many of them on the Anti-Mage, and so to be picking off that Anti-Mage more, to be punishing him instead of the supports around him, would have kept him down, delayed that battle fury, and stopped him from getting his farmer, and that would have then allowed you to push into those towers. As is, however, he did okay, got the battle fury up fairly quickly, was able to get that farm going, and in the end, able to turn around on the enemy and destroy them, as we saw there. So, my name is 555, thank you for watching, I'll catch you next time.